Pokemon cards, so many different kinds, so many different products, so many different reveals, so much coming out in the future. Where do you go? And if you're like me, if you're like so many other people, so much time but so little wallet space, so much things. My income can't handle so much that's going on. A lot of people have to pick and choose what they're actually going to buy from sets. A lot of people have to pick and choose which products they're going to pick up. And a lot of people have a lot of different preferences, which kind of cards they want to put their money into when they're picking up singles when it comes to cards. One of the big ones that a lot of people discuss, and I see people they're very hit or miss about how they feel about that. Everyone feels a specific way about alternate arts. Hey, even if you pull one of the crappy alt arts, there's no crappy alt arts. Poke Positive after all. Let's say they pull something like a Medicham or something like that. Even people can look at that and they can always say, and I've seen people do it. I've seen people open videos and they're like, at least it's an alt art. It's just something you can always say. Pulling a beautifully sketched or beautifully drawn concepted card from Pokemon. I like the Medicham alt art, by the way. It's a very good card. Lots of Pokemon in that one. Lots of good things featured. Feel how you feel about Medicham. The homie's a fucking thick boy and he deserves the special attention that he gets, right? But Pokemon themselves, a lot of cards that people really, there's one in particular people just don't know how to feel about, and it's gold cards. I'm sure you saw gold cards, you heard that, and you're just like, ugh. I'm sure some people did it, but hey, there's a lot of interesting things about gold cards. You can hop online, you can look at people, you can watch videos pulling them, and it's so mixed. Like, there's so many different opinions on how people feel about gold cards. There's some instances where people are like, these are awesome. These are great cards. There's literal posts where people are super excited. They have every single Sword and Shield gold card in a set, and you just look at that, and your heart feels all warm and smiley. You feel like, dang, what a positive outlook on the world. And then you just see some posts where like, motherfucker, why can't these cards get past $5? They all suck. And there's instances of people, and there is a little bit of valid criticism of some of it too, especially when you're looking at certain gold cards and it's just the full art version of a card and it's just goldified. It's just been hit with the Midas touch. Someone, gold member, put his dick on it and was just like, there you go, I like gold, and that was the end all be all of the card, right? It's one of those things where people have criticisms for it, but when you're talking about gold cards, there's so many different kinds of gold cards to go through that when you're talking about them, I don't feel like you can just classify them all in one set. I kind of want to dive a little bit further into that. Automatically, we're discluding the Burger King gold cards. Yes, I know those are technically the first Pokeball gold cards you can pick. Like, get that? And there always is a discussion about people being like, are these expensive? Are these going to ever be worth something? And they're like, no, there's so many of them out there. Well, hold your horses. PSA did say that they are going to start grading. I think it was PSA, don't quote. I'll double check that. One of the grading companies started grading them, and I saw that, and it made me laugh pretty good. We'll see which one it was. I believe it was PSA. So maybe they will be worth $800 now. I mean, in the grading world, anything can happen, right? We're also going to be discluding any of those AliExpress floppy gold cards where people literally just lift Pokemon art and put them on gold floppy pieces of, like, I don't even know what it is. It's not cardboard. It's not plastic. It's like some weird, who even knows what it is, 120 of them for like $7, and people want to sell those for $10 each. Hey, sell what you want at whatever price. Poke Positive after all, but hey, they're not real cards. Make sure you disclose and everyone's aware that those aren't real cards. But just start with gold cards. I'm just going to briefly go over them because, like I said, you can't classify them all the same. They're all so different. The first ones I can really remember, there might be one further back, but the first one I know is going to be Zekrom, Reshiram. Those are from Black and White. Those are beautiful cards, by the way. The standard when it comes to gold, the only negative about them is they really attract dust super easy and there's little ridges. But once you actually get that out, you get a nice clean copy of it. Dude, they just shine. They sparkle. The whole thing's basically solid gold. It's texturized, but you can see the Pokemon in there for what it is, and everybody absolutely loves these cards. I don't think I've met someone who doesn't. Moving forward, XY, you've got like these like item cards. They're basically standard cards. The borders are gold, and the actual frame that has the item in it's also gold and textured, but it's just a standard looking card. They put these in there for a little bit. There's some gold bordered Pokemon cards. I don't think these are gold cards. I'd more be like akin to these being alternate art cards. The Gardevoir right there, since it's a different version of a card in the actual set, and it's got two Pokemon backgrounds. Beautiful alternate art in my opinion. Say what you will, these are fantastic too, but that's where they kind of laid with that with X and Y. These were good for people that wanted to run decks and actually shuffle up cards, play the game, actually play the trading card game, do the one part of the thing, the TCG, that a lot of people seem to forget. More people have been picking it up. And then Sun and Moon kind of did this too. They did two specific things with gold cards. They brought in gold energies, which was cool because you always need those for decks. Really made people fill out that bling bling deck. They had hollow versions of energies before, but these specifically were like full texturized gold versions of those. And then they did texturized gold full art versions of item cards such as Ultra Ball, Escape Rope, Spell Tag, and they were usually ones that were pretty good, instrumental for stomping some 9-year-olds at a tournament, just making them really feel your wrath as a grown adult, right? Great cards. They usually sold for a decent amount because they were the things that won decks. They'd come out, they were great, people put them in, and that was the thing. And then there was the 0.5 sets in between. I'll talk a little bit more about those later. But for like Hidden Fates, a 0.5 set's a holiday set. It's basically a eat your money set. Good luck filling out your master binder card with this set thing. It's just going to eat up everything. People are going to be opening this stuff up on YouTube for months and months trying to fill out a master set of that. But these ones have gold cards too. They all usually do a different thing. I know Hidden Fates did the Tapus and a couple of the Lunala, Solgaleo. They did those where it was like a gold version of it, where like the background was gold, but there was like different colored fill-ins of where the Pokemon were. It's kind of hard to explain, but it was just like a gold outline of the Pokemon with like color filling it in, and you could see the Pokemon like that. Some people didn't like them, some people did. They really didn't do anything. Then later on in the Sun and Moon era, they had the tag team golds, which basically did the same thing, but upped it, but womboed it, but made it super fucking cool, because tag teams is like the best gimmick Pokemon's ever done. That's the Giga Chadness right there. That's the delicious stuff right there. That's the big old chin and the big old dick flopping around, and that was the stuff right there. I still think tag teams was a genuinely novel idea, and a lot of people do too. They made 7 of these, and it was the most popular tag teams, my personal favorite being the Pikachu Zekrom, but they had the Charizard Reshiram, Mewtwo Mew, they had the Giratina Garchomp, the legendary Birdos. There was a couple other ones too, but those were like the big ones where they had the big one. They look great. They were gold polls and tag team all-stars. Only a couple of those came to English. Then they moved on to Sword and Shield. Now, this is where I think gold cards were actually kind of sick. I like this move a lot. Some people, however, did not, so they brought in some of the gold cards, right? But for certain sets, I would say for most of them, year 1, year 2, minus a couple here and there, they had shiny versions of the Pokemon you could pick. And most of the actual Pokemon that you could get that were gold and their shiny variants were playable. I remember the Flaffy sticking out, the Frostmoth, I remember Electrode, I believe Houndoom, Cresselia were also in there. These cards were great, and I actually did like picking these up right here. They kept the gold item cards, but they brought in these gold Pokemon, which really, I think, helped out the set quite a bit. And, you know, pulling anything shiny, getting a shiny version of almost any Pokemon. There's still some shinies that suck, but almost any shiny pull across the board just makes the set more interesting. They completely moved away from this for year 3. They brought in V-Stars, which is another new mechanic, and they literally just took art from the actual regular V-Stars and then goldified it. Basically hit it with a golden gun. It was just like, there you go. Now they're gold. Have that fun. And I do like them, but I can definitely see the complaint where people are like, well, it's just the same art being put on a separate gold card. It's legitimate criticism being thrown at it, and I can see why people are just like, just putting it out. I can see where that stuff is too. Scarlet and Violet moved forward. They kept gold cards as well, but they went back to the Sword and Shield year 1, year 2 outlook on them, where it's just a gold version of the V cards or the EX cards. Excuse me, the EX forever. But they didn't have them shiny, which I think is a big letdown. The shiny definitely was a key thing that I liked a lot. They kept going with that. The 0.5 sets in between on all of those. So going forward with that, the holiday sets, once again, Shiny Star V, it basically did the exact same thing the Hidden Fates did. And then VMAX Climax, they did this exact same thing. They did them with like the VMAX cards, the Mew, the Rayquaza. They did that with the Pikachu. It's just the VMAX cards, right? They looked cool. I like them, but I can see why people definitely did not. It wasn't some people's favorite thing at all. And I mean, I get it. It's one of those things where it's just a black background with like the color of the Pokemon there. But then year 3, my man, V-Star Universe, aka Crown Zenith, brought this stuff in, and the gold standard once again was reached for gold cards. The God Quartet, the Big Dick God Boys just stepped in there. Giratina, Arceus, Dialga, Palkia. Those ones are so dang cool. They had their own special background art. They were texturized. It wasn't just a copy and paste. They were connecting artwork themselves, and they're just cool Pokemon to begin with. They're just fucking badass anyway. These cards, I've not heard one single legitimate complaint about them from anybody, except they don't have the card or they just don't like gold cards to begin with, well, in which case you're not going to like them. But anybody who has pulled these cards and has them absolutely loves them. The art is fantastic, and Pokemon knocked it out of the park with these cards. No ifs, ands, buts, no questions. That is a gold standard across. And then from there, they went from the next 0.5. So they went back to basically a one solid background. It was like a green color, and they had the Pokemon in the background once again, and they went away from like the specialized art, and people were not big fans of those, especially doing like the Treasures of Ruin and stuff like that. Pokemon that people really need to warm up to, because people are like, new Pokemon. It's a whole bunch of Gen 1 neckbeard stuff. Hey, if you want to be a Gen 1er, that's all good. Pokepositive after all. But it's one of those things that, like, you probably, if you're going to introduce good versions of those cards, I mean, like, you should probably go, it's solid criticism. I kind of like the gold cards, but if people don't, I get it. So with all these different variations and all the different types of gold cards, when people say they don't like gold cards, I don't feel like it's very fair to just paint one kind of gold card as the exclusive all be all for golds. There's so many different variations for them. They all vary in price too. I would say your average run-of-the-mill standard set gold card, Scarlet and Violet, it's not really going to have a whole lot of value to it at all, and I think that's a big reason why people are kind of turned off by that. A lot of people are driven by the factor of value for Pokemon cards. It's a big one. I mean, if some of these gold cards are worth way more, people would be chasing them a lot more. They're just not. Some of the art, it's legitimate criticisms for it. The good ones, though, they do shine. People do like them. I truly think collecting gold cards, if you like them, I didn't even mention the ancient and the future gold cards, where it's like the different, those are weird Pokemon anyway, because they already divide people. It's like different versions of Salamence and Gallade Gardevoir, where you got Iron Valiant, Roaring Moon. People already feel their specific ways about those. It's like a boomer waking up and like life's all different. They're like, I thought this was Salamence. What's going on here? And they haven't played the game or something like that. I think those are cool. I think the backgrounds for those rock. But I think people looking at those Pokemon to begin with, without it being a special illustration art, I just think turns people off. I like them. I really do. I think that there's a place for them in the TCG. Just Pokemon is really experimental with what they do with gold cards, and it turns some people just completely away from wanting to pull any of them. The price points definitely don't help for some of them, but when they really knock them out of the park, they really just slam that shit. That dude's taking steroids that day and using a solid wood bat, just smacking that ball all the way out there, man. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know how you feel about gold cards after all. I mean, I get it. I like them, but then like you see, like we're truly in the time of alternate arts, where people are taking such creative liberties with their drawings and bringing such expressive Pokemon to life. I mean, we got Probopass as a brilliant AR card right now. The card that looks like, the Pokemon that looks like everyone's uncle like 5 months if they don't shave their mustache. That card, like, people pull that and they're like, that's a good ass card right there. That's a good looking card. That's great right there. And of course, it's one of those. You do what you will. You say what you will. Pokepositive for all the arts after all. You put the gold Quaquaval next to the handsome Chad Quaquaval in the mirror, about to go break some hearts, making sure their perfect cowlick, their perfect pompadour is looking great, right? I mean, we're in the time of alternate arts. It's one of those things. You can't escape it. The arts are great. I think gold cards have their place here too. Let me know how you feel about that. There's always discussions about it. I'm very curious what people have to say about it. They have their place, but there's definitely a lot of different subcategories for gold cards. All right, bye.